Shalom, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Law Yahweh Shema Shai, by Shem Chakadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me his truth, and much respect to the Akim out there labed in his work, and also to the believers scattered across the four corners of the earth, the hopefully elect in the USA. Shalom. So yeah, there's gonna be a quick lesson, and it's basically gonna be centered around the fear of the Lord, the fear of Yahweh by Shema Shai. All right, I pretty much could have took this in another direction and just showing you the weakness of Esau, but the Spirit led me to push this out to, enhance the fear of the Lord, man, because that's one ingredient that you must possess within this truth, which keeps you on your toes, man. It keeps you from going too far left or too far right, but pretty much walking on eggshells, dealing with the Lord, and that's a safe way to be, okay? And so understanding that we have been called into this truth, we have been given a greater responsibility than the mass majority of people who don't understand what we have. And so for us to misuse what we have and be disobedient and turn away from this grace, which is the truth, man, very harsh and serious judgments are coming for those that do so, and this is what keeps us driving, because ultimately we don't want to feel that pressure or that pain that Yahweh Bashim Shah is going to bring, okay, and more so on the people that understand the truth and draw back. All right, so this is pretty much going to be used as an example, like I was saying, to push the fear of the Lord. Recently, I prayed for more fear, and I guess the Spirit, has had me to stumble upon some very gruesome and horrible, videos. All right, very harsh judgments, and it'll strike the fear in you, man, because you know that Yahweh Bashim Shah is the one that's doing it, and he can do that to anyone who is not obeying his word. All right, so let's get into this. This is pretty much a story about an Edomite, all right, whose name was Madame Lalari, who had slaves, and we're going to see how she tortured her slaves, and this was the fury of Yahweh Bashim Shah placed upon this woman to torture these souls for whatever reason that they need to be tortured in that manner, man. It was, well deserved because of what these people had probably did in their past life. They probably denied Yahweh Shah or whatever it was. All right, it was pretty serious, and the Lord got them back during that lifetime. So we're gonna find out what happened. All right. So it says how Madame Lalaurie turned a New Orleans mansion into a house of horrors. Inside her New Orleans mansion, Madame Delphine Lalaurie tortured and murdered untold numbers of enslaved people in the early 1830s. In 1834, at the mansion at 1140 Rory Street in the French Quarter of New Orleans, a fire broke out. The neighbors rushed out to help, offering to pour water on the flames and help the family evacuate. However, when they arrived, they noticed that Madame Lalaurie, the woman of the house, seemed to be alone. A mansion without slaves seemed shocking, and a group of locals took it upon themselves to search Lalaurie mansion. Right, and yeah, that's the bitch right there. All right. So it goes on to say, it says what they found would forever change the public's perception of Madame Marie Delphine Lalaurie, once known as a respectable member of society and now known as the savage mistress of New Orleans. All right. The horrific details of Madame Lalaurie's crimes. All right, and look at this as in the sense of Yahweh Bashim Shah using this woman to inflict punishment on these slaves. All right, on Jake. So it says the Romans have muddied the fact throughout the years, but there are a few details that have stood the test of time. First, the group of locals found the slaves in the attic. Second, they had clearly been tortured. Uncorroborated reports from eyewitnesses claim that there were at least 7 slaves beaten, bruised, and bloodied to within an inch of their lives, their eyes gouged out, their skin filleted, and mouths filled with excrement, right? Or excrement, and then sewn shut. And if you don't know what excrement is, well, we'll just look it up. But it's basically shit. Excrement, waste matter destroyed from the bowels, feces. So shit was shoved into the mouths of these slaves, all right, and their mouths were sewn shut. Just imagine that, all right, severely beaten, bloodied, their eyes were gouged out, skin filleted. Now this is the terror of Yahweh by Shemel Shadow. Why the scripture says it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. Okay. So it goes and say one particular disturbing report claimed there was a woman whose bones had been broken and reset so that she resembled a crab. So let's just imagine you being strapped down to a table or something, and your limbs are exposed and they're able to bend and break your ligaments, your kneecaps, and twist your legs in a way in which now they look like crab legs. All right, that was pretty much what was done. Okay, so just imagine having to go through something like that. Right? And it goes on saying that another woman was wrapped in human intestines. Okay, she was wrapped with someone. I don't know if it was her intestines or someone else's. Pretty sure it had to be someone else's. It says the witness also claimed that there were people with holes in their skulls. Okay, there were holes in their skulls and wooden spoons near them that would be used to stir their brains. Shit. So, you got these little screw utensils that you can pretty much prive out, all right, bones or whatnot. And these things were literally used on these slaves to tear out a piece of their skull so they can, fuck with their brains, man. They actually put spoons inside his skull and played with their brains and they were still alive. Okay? It goes and say there were other rumors that there were dead bodies in the attic as well. Their corpses mutilated, right, beyond recognition. So these dead bodies went through the same torturous acts. Their bodies were mutilated, which means to be pretty much disfigured. Let's get the definition on that. Mutilate, past tense, mutilated. Inflict a violent or disfiguring injury on. The leg was badly mutilated. Okay. So the limbs of these people were mutilated. Bones were snatched out of ligaments. They were twisted up. All right. It says their organs not all intact or inside their bodies. Okay. This is for those dead corpses. For the ones that did not make it. All right. The ones that were being tortured were pretty much going through that same process. Some say there were only a handful of bodies. Others claim there were over 100 victims. Either way, it cemented Madame Lalaury's reputation as one of the most brutal women in history. However, Madame Lalaury was not always sadistic. Okay, let's see what else they got. I think it's something else. What happened behind closed doors inside Lalaury's mansion? All right, the rumors turned out to be true. Though New Orleans had laws, unlike most of the southern states, that protected slaves from unusual, cruel punishments, the conditions at the Lalaury mansion were far from adequate. It says there were rumors that she kept her 70-year-old cook chained to the stove, starving. There were others that she was keeping secret slaves for her doctor husband to practice Haitian voodoo medicine on. So you had slaves who were, as it just said, tied up to a damn stove, slaving over the stove. Remember that term, right? Slaving over a stove and cooking food, but she couldn't eat. All right? Sitting there starving to death. And then you had other slaves who were used for experimentation. Okay? It says there were other reports that her cruelty extended to her daughters, who she would punish and whip if they tried to help the slaves in any way. Two of the reports are on record as being true. One, that a man was so scared of punishment that he threw himself out of a third-story window, choosing to die rather than to be subjected to Madame Lalaury's torture. That's some hellish shit. When the scriptures speak about hell and being in a hellish condition, that's what it's talking about. All right, so these people that were so distraught that they was willing to commit suicide than to deal with that torture, man. And rightfully so. This it's the place of hell, man, the place where judgment goes down. Okay. So it goes and say the third story window was then cemented shut and is still visible today. The other report concerned a 12-year-old slave girl named Laya. As Laya was as Laya was brushing my dame Laura's hair, she pulled a little too hard, causing the Laura to fly into a rage and whipped the girl. Like the young man before, the young girl climbed out onto the roof, leaping to her death. Witnesses saw LaLaurie burn the girl's corpse, and police were forced to fine her $300 and make her sell 9 of her slaves. All right, so they were forced to do that. Of course, they all looked the other way when she purchased them all back. Okay, so just imagine you feel like you escaped the snares of this demon, this bitch, only for her to come back and purchase you right back into that hellish condition. That's some psychological shit for your ass, man. So this is the terror of Yahweh Bashim Shai. I'm not gonna read it anymore, but you see how the Lord can really torment you, man. All right, He can really torment you and have you looking to put yourself to death, man. All right. So let's go to Hebrews real quick. Hebrews the 10th chapter. But this is pretty much a warning, for anyone who has denied this truth or went back into the world or thinking about it, You never know what the Lord got for you. Let's see. Okay, Hebrews 10, verse 26, for we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remain no more sacrifice for sins. So if you go back into the word and there's no more sacrifice for sins, but it says a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation, which shall devour the adversaries. And that's ultimately talking about the thermonuclear missiles, but the Lord can have you be tortured as well. Okay, he that despiseth Moses' law died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses. Or how much more sore punishment suppose ye shall he be thought worthy, who have trodden under foot the Son of the Most High, and have counted the blood of the covenant wherewith he was sanctified an unholy thing, and have done respite unto the Spirit of grace. For we know him that have said, vengeance belongeth unto me, our recompense, saith the Lord Yahushua. And again, the Lord shall judge his people. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of living power. You see? So yeah, like I was saying before, recently I prayed for more fear, and the Lord been showing me some, very gruesome stuff, man. So it's like, damn, it really rekindles that fear that you had when you first came into this truth, to where you just, walking on eggshells type stuff, man, because this is it. This is the only shot we got, and we gotta pray to the Lord to keep that fear in us and to keep us humble. All right, so we don't want to end up, he didn't know his Lord's will should be beaten with many stripes. All right, rather than someone who did not know the will of the Father. So we got to keep going on a straight path and pray for mercy. So with that, Lord willing, you edify until next time I say shalom.